Good evening for me, good morning to you. This probably seems kind of strange for you. Most of you are probably watching this in the morning. And this is a glass of Jack Daniels. On the rocks. This is a video that was kind of requested. I briefly mentioned in a video that I had up for a very short time. I took it down almost immediately. Kind of upset, I suppose. I was coming home one day, and a guy on the motorcycle with my dog Maggie, and she was riding on the motorcycle in the front. She rides on the gas tank, and at a red light, about less than a block from my house, a guy came up right behind me, and the light was red, right? He came up right behind me, and kind of in a, I think, I felt, like it was in danger or whatever. So, I turned around and gave him a dirty look, and he kind of pushed his car up against me, and it was one of these, nice black sleek cars with the tinted windows, and in Japan, those look fairly menacing. Now you have to remember, in Japan, almost nobody has a gun. You hear about stabbings all the time, but it's nothing like America at all. So I honestly don't usually ever fear for my life, but car accidents are pretty common, and in Aichi, where I live, I think we have the highest or second highest car accident rate in Japan. But anyway, I was really annoyed because this guy, pushed his car bumper almost right up against my motorcycle. It's a pretty big bike, not the biggest bike, but it's, it's decent size. And I was really pissed off. So when the light turned green, I just stopped my bike. I'm like, I'm not going to go anywhere. And the guy got out of his car, and he's a Japanese guy. He's wearing a white dress shirt. He looked like a businessman. And pretty much everyone has this. The business. That's most people here are businessmen. And he walked up right to the bike. And funny thing about I don't consider myself a tough guy or a hero or anything, but I get really unusually calm in situations where most people would be like nervous or panicking. I think it's some kind of weird. It must be the way I deal with it. I don't know. I'm not saying it's it's just the way I deal with it. It's not anything conscious, but I was like unusually calm when he walked right up to me, and got right in my face. Like, what the hell is your problem? And I don't remember what I said anymore. This is a while ago. I think I remember in the first video I made, but that video's gone. Anyway, the funny thing was, I told him to fuck off, and I yelled. And I use English as an advantage here because people. The funny thing is, in Japan, most people have studied so much English that they feel at an immediate disadvantage if you talk to them in English. If you speak to them in English, they don't know what to do. Like, oh. And it usually, even I've been in really aggressive situations where I've just spoken English and people have kind of backed off because they're like at a loss. They don't know what to do. So anyway, long story short, my wife heard me yelling from the building. And she, we're up on one of the higher floors in the building, and she heard me. And I got home and I took and it was over quickly. The guy speeded away. He beeped and flashed his lights and speeded away, all pissed off. And I went upstairs and took the elevator up. And when I got upstairs, my wife was like, "You got another fight again, right? Or you were yelling on the street again." Now remember, I've never really been in not many physical confrontations, very few, but she's been with me long enough that she knows that if some guy gives me shit on the street, I'm usually not going to put up with it, especially if I feel like I'm in the right. I think one of the biggest problems in Japan is a lot of people, a lot of Japanese bully around a lot of other Japanese, and I just won't allow myself to be bullied because, why should I? A lot of Japanese avoid confrontation, and I don't seek it out, but I don't back down. So anyway, but the gist of the video was that I realized that now that I'm married, I can't go around, and my wife gave me a scolding. And I realized that now that I'm married, I can't go around, picking fights with, or accepting fights. We say, kenka o kao, which means to buy a fight. If someone sells a fight, kenka o uru, which means you're picking a fight. Kenka is fight, uru is sell. Kenka o uru selling a fight. So if someone's like picking a fight with you, say, "Kenka are you picking a fight with me?" And actually, I don't know if we say buy a fight, but everyone understands when I say it. I often use it as a joke when I talk about Maggie. Maggie's willing to buy fights with bigger dogs all the time. But anyway, so I got an email after I made that video from a guy on YouTube who asked me about previous. He shared a motorcycle accident he had, and asked me about my previous experiences. And I thought I would just share some just an aggressive story. Well, I'll share the motorcycle accidents I have had. And well, he asked me about the Japanese guy and how he approached me. So I guess I should talk about that. Sorry, this is not really a planned video, but it's just a response. Too bad he isn't here. I could just go back and forth and tell him. One time, so here's another funny story. Yeah, just a funny story. One day, my wife and I and my dog were on the motorcycle, and we had just left my brother's house. We hadn't been drinking. It was relatively early. The sun was still up. It was going down. It was early evening on a Sunday. And you know how motorcycles are. You can kind of go around traffic a little bit if it's too slow. You know, I try not to make anyone feel nervous in their cars, but I do scoot around traffic sometimes. And there was a red light up ahead. And all these cars were there, and the one car in the back was kind of parking or something, so I kind of scooted around it. And I took advantage to scoot up all the way to the front of the line, of the red light line, right? There was nowhere to go, and I wasn't in anyone's way, and the way bikes are, you usually accelerate faster than most cars. And when I went to the very front of the line, there was plenty of room. It wasn't like I cut anyone off or anything. I was, you know, I just cruised slowly to the front of the red light, where the red light was. And a guy that the guy who was right behind me, I just passed him up. He was a tough guy. He was a big guy. He was wearing he was Japanese, of course. He had his wife and his kid, his little child in the car, and he had these gold chains, you know, the things you kind of see rappers wear, you know, in rap videos and stuff. And it was like a nice little car, a little conservative car, nothing big, like a little family car, you know. And the funny thing was, he got out of his car, and he came up and started yelling at me, like, "What are you doing? You know, getting ahead of us." I'm like, "What's the problem?" He goes, "You scooted ahead of us. You know, you're slowing us down." I said, "You know, there's nowhere to go. It's a red light." You know, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy, you know, should be embarrassed. Like, his wife and his kid are in the car watching him, and he's yelling at me. At the top of his lungs. And again, I was unusually calm. I guess my wife was scared. I don't remember very well. But I was just unusually calm, going, "It's a red light, man. There's nowhere to go." All in Japanese, of course. And he was all like, when I said that, you know, he realized I was right. He was like, "Well, he was at a loss for words. And he felt kind of silly. I guess he thought he was going to try. I don't know what he was thinking, you know. Maybe it was green when I passed, and it turned red when I got there, you know. Something. Maybe that was it. That was it. Now I recall. But the funny thing was, you know, I would say he was at a loss for words. He had nothing to say. And yeah, I was really embarrassed for him because his kid and his wife were sitting in the car watching him, and I thought, man, you know, what kind of dad is this? You know, who gets out of cars and yells at people? But I suppose, you know, in a different time and place, it could have been someone like me. I could have been. I think when I was younger, I was the kind of person who would be a little more aggressive that way, or, you know, short-tempered, whatever. Another time, I was going down the street, and I was about to turn right at a big intersection. Right, I was about to turn right. I was in the I guess left-hand lane, because remember, you know, in Japan people drive on the left, like England. So I had gotten into the left-hand lane, and this car had scooted around me really quickly, like menacingly close to me, to my back bumper. And I beeped like, "Hey, you know, watch out," you know. And he quickly moved to the left lane, jumped out of his car, and it was, again, a dark, you know, a black car with tinted windows. And this guy was dressed in one of these, like, flashy suits, he was what we call a chimpira, which is a kind of pretend Yakuza. Real Yakuza don't do impolite things. Real Yakuza are kind of honorable in a way. I mean, but they don't exist anymore. Basically, these days, it's all just tough guys, who dress, but they don't really walk the walk. But the funny thing, I wasn't with my dog this time. I was alone, and I had my bag, but I had this camera. Where is it? I don't know if you can see that there. This camera was sitting in my bag on my back, and this is a fairly expensive camera. A couple, $2,000 or $3,000 when it was new. Now it's probably you can get it for $600 or something. And I wouldn't advise it, but anyway, again, I was very, very calm. And he came right up into my face, and he it's funny because when Japanese get angry, they start rolling their R's, and I can't even roll my R's, so I can't even do it. But there's a good comedian on YouTube who does it. But he was like, "Arr!" And he came up right in my face. And yeah, I remember I had my bike chain on my right shoulder, and I clasped it, and we were at a red light, and I grabbed it, and I was like ready to just conk him, because I was like, he's not gonna ruin my camera. I was worried about my camera, but again, I was very calm. I said in English, "What's wrong, man?" And he's like, again, I caught him off guard. He's like, "Ah, what do I say?" And I said, "Hey, nice car." And people can understand basic things like that, like nice car. And I looked pointed at the car. I said, "Nice car. Maybe you should get back into it." Because I knew he wouldn't understand that, right? I guessed. And he was, he had no idea what to make of that. And he got back into his car. But it was just so funny because he raced over to my bike, to get in my face, thinking I would like cruise away or run away. Which, because I could have easily just done that. But one of these days I'm going to get in trouble, so I probably shouldn't do things like that anymore. Anyway, I have a couple of motorcycle accidents, stories I could tell you, but I guess that'll be for another time. For now, that's the only story I have for now.